how do we keep updating people about what needs to be updated? Where do we start? I think it's all over the place right now. Have any specific thought in mind? Where to start?
We should probably start with talking about what a digital twin really is, right?
Yeah.
I think it's good to define our terms like scientists might. Um,
Yeah, no, I've always said every time I try to squeeze in everything AI, which is like about 4 years, going to university, about time in university for 4 years, just squeeze it into like 30 minutes conversation. It feels that way, but you know what? A lot of these conversations, the way they're happening, I think that's just the nature of it because it's like a it's like a deep tea, right? Like you have to talk about some things up here,
mhm.
dive deep, come back up, and talk
Yeah,
about it up here. Um, we talk a lot about coding and programming, but that's not necessarily what we need to understand actually, because that's been outsourced to an AI,
yeah,
outsourced to a data center,
hmm
outsourced to a server that can do the coding and programming. So what's there left to do talk about as far as what's deep? I think I think digital twin is a perfect example of how deep this conversation can go.
yeah. I think so. Yeah, but it would help to kind of talk about what a digital twin is and isn't,
Yeah,
because it's one of
and
those
yeah, and I
it's one of
won't
those
risk
things
that.
that's gotten
I won't risk
murky.
that on my side. I'll let you do it.
Yeah, sure. Uh, so I think the definition of digital twin has gotten a little bit murky because it's going back and forth between lots of different industries and used in so many different ways. So, what I say digital twin is to one industry means something completely different to another, right? So, uh, if you're in construction, you might say, well, digital twin means I need, geo data around where I am to get a sense of where this building is in the world or something like that. Or some people might say they make digital twins when all they're making is a 3D model. So it goes from a very small digital twin of just a 3D model to some overarching thing of where you've got geo data, you've got sensor data, you've got 3D models, and you might even have immersive tech in there somewhere. So I think what we're talking about when we're talking about a digital twin is that bigger picture kind of digital twin where it's a visual representation of real time data in some way, whether that is a 3D model or if it's something web or if it's just your kind of basic dashboard. But it's something that is telling you exactly what's happening with your asset out in the real world in some digital format. I
Yeah,
think that's a good enough definition of it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you hit on that point, immersive, right? When you say immersive, people just settles in right away. They're just like, okay, all right. It's not that complicated. We're so used to digital twin, like you said, different places will call it different things. I think at one point he said this is just a video game. And when you say video game, people click right away. Oh, digital twin, like an avatar, like so many things that we are so accustomed to. But digital twin is a murky term, right? And I think when me and you were discussing it, I said that if there's a sensor and that sensor is being replicated in the digital world, that's just a computer assisted designing, right? Like I
Mhm.
can make a copy of the way my cell phone works inside of a computer.
Yeah,
But if I can run my cell phone from my computer, as in click on a few things, and all of a sudden what's happening in my laptop monitor is also what's happening in my phone, all of a sudden there's a feedback loop that is initiated and things are actually running in my phone just the way I'll be touching it actually.
yeah. So the two-way
That's that
communication.
digital twin environment for me.
Yeah, that's true. That's a better way of describing the sensor data input output, and there's a
Yeah.
two-way communication between
Yeah.
the digital twin and the physical asset, whatever that may be, whether it's
Anything physical
yeah,
asset. If you can start with a clay sculpture and want to 3D print it, or you want to 3D scan it, whatever the case is, and put it inside of a computer, all of a sudden you're able to do funny things with it, right? It's all of a
hmm
sudden it's a digital twin. but the spectrum is so wide, right? So customer border patrol, sorry, customs agent, that's what it's called, customs agent. You walk up to them, you show them your passport, and the person looks through all the information on the computer and says, you're good to go, right? Well, if that customs agent was a digital twin system that mimics like a customs agent, that's also a digital twin, right? It's actually having real-time feedback and interactions. So digital twin, I think, in your aviation industry, it's pretty much famous for engines, how the engines will interact with the environment 30,000 feet above the air. But 30,000 feet above the air is not the same everywhere in the world. So if it's flying over Tibet, you will need to know the difference in altitudes and what happens there, right? The variables. I think a lot of people can conceptualize that. So that's kind of like the what of digital twin, Of course, we have to talk about how and why of it, because I think you also mentioned that it's murky. The terms are kind of elusive. Some people call it virtual prototyping. Mm-hmm. Some people insist on calling it just CAD, EAD, whatever the case is. And they stick to it, right? Because that's how they've been informed about this for 30 some years now. But digital itself is about that old at this point, because that's how we've been doing it.
That's
yeah. So talk about like things that are moving fast.
mm-hmm.
Right? Things are moving fast, and adoption is is chaotic, but it smoothens out over time because everybody sees the value in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say like added value or value proposition here is like this,